These insane Ash Ketchum strategies have stunned crowds, humiliated opponents, and left viewers speechless. So let's talk about them. Hey everyone, it's Charles. How are you today? In today's after story, I am going to take you to a place of real magic, so stick around. Ash Ketchum is known for his out-of-the-box plays and ability to put together truly unexpected counterattacks on a whim, and we discussed some of his most brilliant strategies in a previous video. But the strategies that we will be looking at today are pure lunacy, and they worked. Because Ash is either A, an understated genius, or B, the luckiest man on Earth. But either way, his opponents were left humiliated and the Pallet Town Plot Patrol bagged a cheeky knockout or match win that he probably shouldn't have. So today's plan is to crush through 5 of these beauties, and as always, it's going to be a fun time, so kindly subscribe for a constant inflow of Pokemon goodness. Use your best electric type attack on that ground type like button because it will definitely be super effective if your name is Ash Ketchum, and let's bust out the juicy nuggets. Good golly, Miss Moly, Thunder Armor. Thunder Armor was unleashed out of thin air in Ash's gym battle against Tate and Lisa. It came out of nowhere, it didn't make any sense, it worked, and it went down like this. Early on in the battle, Ash finds himself on his back foot like a badger boxing Billy Bacchus, and decides he has no choice but to throw reason to the wind and calls on Pikachu to use thunder on the clouds above the battlefield, causing the clouds to fire back a bolt of lightning that strikes Pikachu and Swellow for some reason. And instead of the match ending then and there with Ash scoring a shocking own goal, the electricity encases Swellow and Pikachu in golden thunder armor that gives them stat buffs that Dragon Ball Super would have difficulty believing. Super Saiyan Swellow then launches into a quick attack, to which Solrock responds with a dead-on-target solar beam that does absolutely nothing to Swellow and Pikachu, who speed through it like a Wartortle through water. Then Lunatone scrambles to put up a light screen, but the Golden Boys burst through as Max shouts, "I can't believe what I just saw." And like a schoolyard bully punching out first graders, Pikachu breaks Solrock with Iron Tail while Swellow decimates Lunatone with Aerial Ace, smiting their ruin upon the mountainside. Rachel, Lisa, and Tate's mom immediately announces the win like someone afraid that they will be next on the hit list if they don't simply nod their head, shut up, and leave the room. Brock tries to make sense of nonsense, probably because Ash paid him off, and Ash himself basks in the light of victory with his Pokemon. Fans will perform the wildest mental acrobatics to rationalize Ash pushing the self-destruct button on his flying type Pokemon with a massive thunder attack because, you know, Pikachu's attack, or the Cloud's attack, clearly activated Swellow's Guts ability from the game, which raises a Pokemon's attack stat by 50% when they are inflicted with a status condition, I guess. And yes, if Ash had practiced the move and run his calculations in advance, then this had to be one of the most heart of the cards plays of the entire anime. But sometimes insanity is just insanity, and I love it. Ash vs. Drake of the Orange Islands was somewhat of a coming-of-age battle for Ash following a very devastating defeat in the Indigo League. And as you may recall, although Ash took a commanding lead in the opening rounds of the battle, once Drake's Ace Dragonite hit the pitch, it started going to work on Ash's team, choking out Charizard, backhanding Squirtle, and leaving Tauros as the Osgiliath to Ash's Gondor. It is here that Drake has Dragonite serve up Fly, followed by Body Slam. And as Dragonite speeds in from above and Tauros runs toward it, Ash makes a call that leaves the crowd and viewers in disbelief. Tauros, just stand there. Drake is as shocked as you, me, and my Uncle Roger at Ash's latest meta play because it was ridiculous, and surely this had to be the end of Ash's Orange League run. But as Dragonite makes contact, an explosion of dust obscures the mayhem, and when the air clears, Tauros emerges unharmed with a judo grip on Dragonite's butt cheeks and slams it into the ground in triumph. Or it would have, except that Dragonite got right back up and thundered it into submission. Even so, Tauros had stacked enough extra damage to tip the scale in Pikachu's favor in the following round, and the rest is history. To be fair, the concept behind Ash's play does hold half a cup of water, and sliding back in the sand would buffer the impact of Dragonite's Body Slam to an extent, but enough to completely negate the force of a 210kg meat bag screeching in at the speed of a jet plane from a near 90-degree angle. Well, let me know what you think. And congratulations on the Orange League victory, Ashy boy. This one is classic Ketchum madness. In his first gym battle against Blaine, Ash's Pikachu takes on Blaine's Rhydon and quickly finds itself against the ropes. Which makes sense given that Rhydon is a rock ground type Pokemon, making it immune to electric type attacks and resistant to normal type attacks. And unfortunately, Pikachu did not have access to Iron Tail back then, but what it did have access to was Ash Ketchum's plot armor. In short, as Pikachu gets beaten around like a bludger, Ash realizes he has no chance of winning the battle by conventional means, shouts out, "Pikachu, the Horn!" And Pikachu strikes Rhydon's horn with Thunderbolt for the insta-KO. The logic is that Rhydon's horn functions as a lightning rod, allowing Pikachu to conduct a powerful jolt of electricity into the horn and throughout Rhydon's body. Well, whatever you say, Ash. And if turning a Pokemon's immunity into a 50 times weakness wasn't cheeky enough, the next entry is something special. Ash vs. Lisa in the black and white era of the anime has went down in history as one of the most infamous examples of Ash winning when he had clearly misplaced his marbles. Knowing that Elisa is an electric type specialist, Ash strategizes for the match all night long and decides to bring Palpitoad to the gym battle. And Palpitoad was actually a great choice, as its part ground typing gives it immunity to the electric type attacks of Elisa's Pokemon. Indeed, Ash had actually put together a fairly decent strategy, except that 1. Ash brought only Palpitoad to the match. What? And 2, Ashy boy, what if her Pokemon can use other types of moves? Did you think about that? I mean, even your own Pikachu knows Iron Tail. As you'd expect, Emperor Palpitoad wins round 1, but soon gets its clock cleaned by a Mulga Plus Aerial Ace. And Ash then reveals that he had not prepped any other Pokemon and literally runs to the Pokemon Center mid-battle to pick up his Snivy, a Pokemon weak to the Aerial Ace attack that he just lost to. And after all of this, is somehow allowed to continue the match. Of course, Snivy gets absolutely demolished, after which Ash determines that all of that Art of War stuff is a bunch of mumbo jumbo, and that instead of thinking through things clearly with facts and logic at his side, he is better off simply relying on the power of friendship and the grit of his Pokemon. AKA Pikachu, the Ketchum stupidity buffer who immediately proceeds to annihilate the rest of Elisa's team with relative ease. Being an idiot, cheating, being an idiot again, abandoning all reason, and winning anyways. It's also absurd that I'm convinced it had to be some kind of Ash Ketchum meta play to leave Elisa confused and sympathetic before whipping out the scissors he had behind his back all along and snipping the rope on her. Maybe he is an Art of War fanboy after all. Using its tough and impressive horn, the user rams into the foe with no let-up. It is true, Ash's Heracross is an unsung hero, but holy moly did Ash ever have to employ some real knee-slapper tactics to guide Heracross to a win over Gary's Magmar. As with both Pokemon coming into the confrontation fresh and undamaged, Heracross was at a clear disadvantage from a typing perspective. The match gets off to just as terrible of a start as you would imagine. But how does Ash respond to Heracross eating up a brutal Fire Spin Body Slam combination followed by a point-blank flamethrower to the face that literally sets Heracross on fire? I'm glad you asked. Ash tells Heracross to fan out the fire with his wings. I don't know about you, but to me, being set on fire and then trying to fan out the flames sounds like a pretty bad idea. But fortunately, Heracross is a Chad bug who can produce blasts of wind bigger than Big Wind, and after Heracross effortlessly puts the flames out, Ash follows up by having Heracross go straight at Magmar with Mega Horn, an attack that Magmar resists, practically gifting Magmar an opportunity to blast Heracross for weakness again with a front-on flamethrower. Except that Ash's Heracross is just built different, I guess, and pushes straight through the fire to pound Magmar into molten pulp. This was an insane power plan to put into action when Ash simply could have switched into a neutral matchup, and even more ridiculous is when he adds insult to injury by rubbing the fact that his Pokemon play by different rules straight into Gary's face. What a character. Well, these are some of the most insane strategies that Ash Ketchum has ever used to humiliate his opponents and snag the W's. But do you have something even better? Let me know. Jofun is a town of magical views and tasty tea nestled in the mountains of northern Taiwan. In the late 1800s, a gold rush initially pushed the area's growth, but it later developed into a haven for tourism, apparently in response to the release of the 1989 film A City of Sadness, which showcased the area's nostalgic scenery and drew in visitors from far and wide. The town is often incorrectly credited as the inspiration for the setting of Hayao Miyazaki's animated masterpiece Spirited Away, but nevertheless, the town does capture the feel of of the area surrounding the bathhouse of that movie quite well, and countless Japanese tourists flock to the area every year. And as we walked around town, we encountered not only Japanese families, but also Japanese cameramen and cosplayers taking advantage of the scenic evening streets. I actually took a day trip here back when I traveled to Taiwan following a journey through mainland China 8 years ago, basically as the third wheel to my skirt-chasing friend and a girl about as interesting as a piece of bread, which was pretty awkward. But this time I stayed the night, 2 nights actually, and I was glad to experience the place how Weiwei and I actually wanted to experience it. During the day, we stayed out of the burning heat to edit the video you're watching right now, and to read the Goblet of Fire while enjoying, well, more than 1 glass of cold, delicious draft beer. And once things cooled off in the evenings, we walked the streets and explored. Personally, I like to scout out places a piece away from the hustle and bustle, and so for dinner on the second night, we found a 3-story tea house a ways west of the main area with just 1 other customer, or depending how you count it, 3 other customers. One of the things I just love about quiet mountain towns is all the interesting creatures that you run into, from lizards to frogs to cats to wild dogs to demonic insects from hell to etc, etc. It really is like a real-life Pokemon adventure. Who knows when or if I will be back to Jofun, but it was definitely worth the return trip, and if you head over to Taiwan one day, then it's definitely a place where I recommend spending an evening. Well, next up we are headed to Ilan. See you there.